Hi, welcome back to an evening taping of The Tonight Show. I am the ghost of Jay Leno, still haunting these hallowed grounds. I'm just trying to find a vintage card. On the first 30 seconds, come on. Capitalism. It was invented in 1999 by Karl Marx and started existing in 2019 with parasites. Listen, I'll be the first one to say it. Capitalism? It's not the belle of the ball, to say the least. It could use some work, and I'm going to be the one doing that work by making a YouTube video about how I'm not the biggest fan of it. Actually, what I'm doing here is called micro-activism. You know how, like, some people take one shrooms over 3 hours? One shroom, is that what it's? I'm just gonna have done one net activism over like 35 videos. Maybe I could also get a public park built. I don't know politics, sue me. I'm kidding, I know politics. I watch television and news. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you subscribe right now, the thoughts will stop. I promise. That's messed up of me to say. My channel won't do that for you. Go to therapy. It's worth it. Or don't. I don't care. Maybe it'll suck. Who knows? Capitalism versus socialism. It's an age-old debate, like Fortnite versus Apex Legends, or God versus me. In this battle of the intellects, I am coming out swinging on the side of socialism. I am a heavyweight. I am, however, nothing without my anti-socialist upbringing. My grandparents were raised in the USSR, which was not exactly a McDonald's playpen. So my entire childhood, people in my family were telling me, hey, socialism is when the government has money and it does things with said money, such as houses, or school, or park, or not letting poor people die. And if that happens, then that's basically fascism. You know, it's because anti-communist efforts are a little bit confused. It's okay, they just learned that Joseph McCarthy didn't actually have any names in his book. Ideologically, we're still stacking Duplos and playing in the sandcastles because of McCarthyism. Not one healthy conversation has been had since that era, and I'm a little peeved about it. But thankfully, the underground journalism safe haven, the last bastion of truth and information in our world, CNBC, has put together a well-natured debate about capitalism versus socialists for us to sink our teeth into, or whatever, I don't care. And who better did they get to be these debaters than Bill Gates, Charlie Munger, and Warren Buffett? You know, the most unbiased people in our economic hierarchy. Listen, I'll be the first to say it, large sums of money aren't really as much as we think they are usually. Like $1 million is a crazy amount of money, right? Like a life-changing amount of money. But if I got $1 million right now, could I actually make that last until I die? Depending on where I live and my expenses, I actually might not be able to. I would still have to work at some point. I'd have to turn out a, like 1920 by 1080 JPEG of me cringing for a thumbnail every week. Speaking of, yeah, large sums of money aren't as much as we think they are, unless we are talking about $1 billion. Fucking good heavens, that's a lot of money. Good heavens is such an archaic exclamation for me to choose. Heavens to Betsy, you know, if I had $1,000 in my bank account right now, which I don't have, I have less than that because I'm a Sigma. If I had $1,000 and you gave me $1, I probably wouldn't think that much of it. If I had $1 billion to make the same impact, you would have to give me $1 million. Human people just aren't that good at numbers, and who's to blame us? I did not know that I would be seeing Cookie Clicker in my lifetime. I don't know if any of you know who Gary Gulman is. He's a comedian. Yeah, he's like the most erratic middle-aged man at a Christmas party. He has a gag where he talks about finding a $20 bill in his coat pocket, and it makes his day. And then he says Bill Gates would have to find hundreds of thousands of dollars in his pocket to get that same high. I think that's a really succinct way of looking at it. Humans were not meant to comprehend numbers this big, you know? Like we were meant to trail woolly mammoths for 600 miles and then get skewered like marshmallows by saber-toothed tigers. The stock market was not present during the last ice age, I'll tell you that much. A mastodon could not give less of a fuck about whatever the Dow Jones is. And neither could I. Do you guys want to hear my cartoon gulp sound effect? That's it. It has never been in my genetics or my human nature to check the stock app on my phone like I own a share in any company. Anyways, let's just get into this video of 3 billionaires debating capitalism. I've seen so many screenshots of this video, but I've never seen a full reflection, and it just looks so impossibly dumb. He has $100 billion. I wonder if he will choose to redistribute his income. Owners of the means of production want to give them away. It's up in the air, who knows? It's like a Jubilee video, like we asked 7 serial killers if murder is bad. Let's just get it rocking, really. This is funny. One of the top comments is saying, how is this breaking news? Because they do give it the breaking news, the breaking news thing. I think the real breaking news here is that these 3 men were in one room at the same time, and if somebody closed their eyes and tossed a grenade in there after pulling the pin, the stock market would begin convulsing uncontrollably. Warren Buffett is the Nostradamus. How do you pronounce that? How the fuck do you pronounce Nostradamus? Wait.
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus? No, fuck you. It's not that. I'm saying Nostradamus. Warren Buffett is the Nostradamus of stock exchange, so once he's out of the game, everybody's gonna be panicking for a bit. He's in his 90s, so he's looking at the exit sign, if you will.
Over the weekend, several questions came up about defending capitalism, and Warren, you did step out and say that you're a card-carrying member in front of everyone. What do you think about the attacks that we've seen to this point on capitalism?
To suggest that capitalism needs defense is so funny to me. Because what do you think our nation's defense budget is for? Like $700 billion. Yeah, we're just fucking around. We're just defending America, vaguely. No, we're defending American capital. According to Vladimir Lenin, a guy who never did anything questionable, imperialism is the highest state of capitalism. Fuck, not state. That would be counterintuitive. I also think it's so funny that for some reason he had to come out and say like, yeah, I'm a capitalist. Look up his net worth. How would he not? Imagine Warren Buffett is like neck deep in this fucking money. And then he wakes up one day and he's like, shit, I'm in the DSA. He puts a rose in his bio and he's just like, all right, somebody send me some mutual aids or something. I totally forgot about this shit. That's a funny idea. I'm funny. I'm perfect. You should subscribe, probably.
If you look at what was here in 1776 and look at what is here now, this country has done an incredible job in terms of the deployment of resources and human ingenuity. Does that mean that every decision should be made simply by open market determinants? Oh, there's a need for regulation, obviously, and there are things that have long-term costs and might not get...
This wide shot is fucking killing me. Why do they all look like different cartoon frogs? They're the same guy at like 3 different ages. Capitalism breeds innovation. This is the innovation. One guy with different hairlines at different latitudes and longitudes on the globe of his head. This is fucking hilarious. Capitalism encourages really quick development, sure, but I would argue that the detriments of capitalism at this point outweigh the incredibly fast development that capitalism can sometimes encourage. Like, I would trade the future of the world for like a better car in 10 years. Yeah, I would say I don't care about that car very much.
People using the resources they have to create what we have now from what was here 240 some years ago.
He's right. 240 years ago, we only had ridiculous worker exploitation, slavery, racism, incredible, like stretches between the impoverished and the wealthy. And now we only, okay, wait. I'm starting to think that the problems shift and they're never really addressed. Because the problem that capitalism ends up coming into, of course, is that the people who own the means of production make all of the money and the people who don't are exploited. And I'm gonna have you guess which one this guy is. You know, the guy who looks like the evil business owner from a 90s VHS board game cover.
I think we've just started with what capitalism can produce in the United States, but...
Oh, we've just started. We are presently ending. Capitalism values infinite expansion, right? You always need to be expanding somewhere, monetizing something new, finding a new way to pull profit out of something that isn't new, because if you're ever in decline, it's a crisis. Infinite expansion just isn't sustainable, so the world is just feeling all of the weight of us infinitely expanding into it constantly. The idea that we have so many more places to go with capitalism in America is just like just in America? We're trying to get to other planets. We're trying to fuck off because we're killing this one.
You made a pretty innocuous statement that you looked around, you thought capitalism was the best system, and you got attacked online from all these people who came up with these crazy statements about how could you say things like...
I hate how smug Bill looks. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He looks like a mischievous frog and I don't trust him. It's so funny that we even qualify this as an attack. Like Bill Gates was like, capitalism is the best system because it seems to be working pretty well for me. And all these poor people online were like, help, I am suffering. And he was like, clearly you've never been on Reddit before. Clearly you don't know a lick of Adam Smith.
Some people think when you defend capitalism, you're defending the tax rates we have today and saying that higher absolute tax rates or more progressive tax rates, that you're disagreeing with them. And I don't think Warren and I are disagreeing that you could make the taxes more progressive. In fact, we've been very explicit in some areas, like the estate tax, and saying we think that would be a good thing. Socialism...
You got your wish, it came back.
I don't know if this is conscious obfuscation or planned obfuscation. I would assume it's planned obfuscation because these people are billionaires and it is in their DNA, it is in their best interest to pretend like they have no idea what's going on. When you defend capitalism, you're not just defending certain tax rates. You're defending exploitation, massive gaps in wealth accumulation. You are defending the systemic injustices that capitalism perpetuates. So no, I don't just think that Bill Gates is defending tax rates, right? I think that he's defending a system that disproportionately hurts people who are not privileged, and not everybody can be privileged. That is just how a system like capitalism works. Somebody always needs to be exploited under the heel of somebody else in order for the system to keep accelerating. When you defend capitalism, you defend the inequality that capitalism perpetuates. So if you look at it and you say this is the best system, when your other references are feudalism, because that's what people always point to, they always say oh, it's better than feudalism, right? Yeah, it's better than feudalism. That doesn't mean it's fully great yet. I think people always associate socialism as like a step back from capitalism. In reality, we're saying that like, well, feudalism to capitalism, that was good. If we want to better the lives of the many, maybe we could move forward to this step. But I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot because this guy is worth $200 billion, which is a good thing, actually.
Socialism used to mean that the state controlled the means of production.
Sounded like a tea kettle for a second there. He's going Richard Wolff. Socialism is when the government does stuff, and the more stuff it does, the more socialist it is. And if it does a lot of things, it's communist. And that's just not what socialism is. It is most commonly agreed to be an intermediary stage to get to communism, where the workers own the means of production. And that's not like a super complex way of describing it, and I wouldn't consider that a fully accurate way of describing it. But to paint it as like, oh, the state owns the means of production is a calculated framing of socialism to make it look less appetizing. Yeah, I'm going full propaganda mode right now. Holy shit. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is what they're putting in your textbooks. They're putting a transgender YouTuber. She's gonna make your kids believe in socialism and soy whoppers at Burger King. I'm gonna forcibly feminize the Burger King. I'm the Burger Queen. Oh. Boy, I'm gonna try to do more jokes because this is basically just me. I'm just gonna keep on making fun of them for looking like frogs. Don't worry, I'm not gonna get too intense.
Most people really aren't arguing against capitalism. There may be a few, but most people are just saying that the taxes should change.
Yeah, I mean, I can only interpret this as like a deliberate ignorance to the actual like anti-capitalists that exist in the world. Because right now he's not even arguing against socialists; he's arguing against democratic socialists and social democrats. You know, people who just want to see reformist policies and want to see taxes go into place. And I think all of that's good, and I think that will better the lives of people. But yeah, I think he's purposefully acting like that is the far left because I don't know, you got to maintain the Overton window or else you're gonna be thrown out of it. Nerd guy from cartoon. Yeah, Bill Gates looks just like this guy. That's a stupid fucking joke to make. I'm sorry, Bill.
Someone who I think is polling the second highest in the Democratic Party right now, who was a socialist until very recently, Bernie Sanders.
Well, whether or not he was a socialist by the full term of that, now there is some money.
I mean, we've established that Bill Gates doesn't super understand what socialist means, which is fine. He doesn't have to because he has a lot of money. And when you have a lot of money, you don't need to understand things, especially when it comes to the things that would be strategically good for you to not know. If you're thinking about it, if you're a capitalist, what's your chief interest, right? If you have more money than almost every single other person on earth, your interest is not to argue with the actual opposition. It's to be like, oh, the opposition wants like higher taxes and stuff, and that's a little crazy. You got to paint them as like that's the furthest that people go. Because you want to obfuscate that there is this alternative. Jesus, I sound like a fucking nerd. Sorry, I'm wearing like a button-down shorts. I should get the fucking overalls. God damn, somebody bully me right the fuck now.
When you start to say there shouldn't be any billionaires, that you have some cap on wealth or something like that, that goes beyond what I think, and you could say I'm self-interested, but...
I fucking hate, okay, so... You might say he's self-interested. I might agree with that. I might agree with you there, Bill. It's scummy. That's what it is. It's scummy. Yeah, it's just hard to watch, somebody who has made his money through worker exploitation and whatnot, who has made such an unreasonable amount of money that nobody on earth should ever be able to accumulate all of that, an amount of money that nobody could even begin to work for. It's so ironic to watch him, just mispaint all of the opposition's ideas, and then of course when it comes down to what he's saying like, oh, but Warren and I have argued in favor of some taxes, and I think those might be cool, and I think that if I agree with those, I'll be down with the kids, and the kids won't want me to die. Clearly right here he's just basically saying like, well, yeah, we want changes, but not. I feel like when you take my money, that's a little too far. Yeah, probably the government should do this. And now that I think about it, that would require a tax on more tax money, but not my money, of course. So I guess poor people? Maybe. Can we do poor people? Do they have money? I have most of it. Shoot. If there's a way around that, let me know.
I think if you'd set up a government bureau in 1850 and given them 100 years to develop a car, I'm not so sure that you'd have ever come up with anything like the assembly lines of Ford and all of the things that have happened.
I just hate this one. Do people think that assembly lines just did not feasibly exist before Henry Ford? He was the first guy that was like doing one step on a thing, and then he just handed it to somebody else to do the other step, and they did it, and he was like... Like, to say that that form of innovation itself could not have come from anywhere but, like, capitalist free market Henry Ford build car is like, oh, how do these people exist? I've probably made an assembly line at some point in my life. Like, me and my friends all sitting at a craft table, me being like, okay, well, yeah, I put on the eyes on the snowman, and you put on the carrot nose, and I don't know what craft this is. It's had to be Christmas themed because it's December 20th.
Human ingenuity is incredible, and you want something that maximizes its use and then curbs a few of the ideas that some of those people may have to sort of have it fall for themselves.
This is really interesting to me, actually, because he says that human ingenuity is really cool, but you want to encourage it in a way that curbs, the inclinations of a few to take all of the benefits of it. Let's go undercover. Let's do some journalist research here. Let's really get the big boy stuff, NYT, HuffPo, let's go. Net worth. Zoom and enhance. 100.5 billion US dollars. I mean, we did counting in school, but we never got all the way up here, so is this more or less than 15?
Charlie, you've made the same point.
The great proof of how capitalism works is China. When China...
God, wow, I thought that was like a radiator grumbling in the background. Sorry, Charlie. Yeah, continue.
China's productivity increased many times, and they went from rural poverty to modern extreme wealth. And they did it by adopting a fair amount of capitalism. Now, if a Democratic politician doesn't understand that, he's nuts.
This is an elderly Keebler elf. I'm sorry, I know I should tactfully be trying to respond to his points here. Well, wealth under capitalism is defined by capitalism, so success under capitalism is defined by capitalism. People could still live, valuable lives without being forced to rapidly innovate and, increase the profit motive, blah, 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 yeah, whatever. This guy looks like a Lindor white chocolate truffle with a tuft of horsehair attached to it. This is Professor Egad from Luigi's Mansion. If he just got rid of all of the ghost busting stuff and just hit Luigi with a candlestick. I feel bad for making fun of him because he looks a bit like he's made out of tongue depressors and could fall apart at any moment. But yeah, Charles, you're worth a lot of money, and I don't really care about your opinion.
You think private sector does it much better than the government sector. However, a lot of these people who are running also want to make government much bigger. Do you have a quarrel with that or no?
Well, as they say, if you love your post office, you're going to love socialized medicine.
If you love your post office, you're going to love socialism. How about you stop it? I'm not mad. I'm not the soy Wojak. I'm strong. I'm strong. First off, I'm going to insult these guys a lot just because I don't think any of these guys are active enough on gay Twitter to see this video. Right, what am I going to open YouTube tomorrow and see Warren Buffett's blog channel?
Hey guys, I was scrolling through YouTube yesterday and I found a video recommended by a young it from a young thing. I don't know which gender it believes it was. Back in my day, the government assigned you a gender, and it was either Medal of Honor or killed in battle. Bring as many nickels to the local blacksmith as you'd like. It won't forge you whatever a non-binary is. Anywho, this young communist claims I shouldn't have all my money. I counterclaim with, what if I wanted? How would I afford another impressionable butler that I can convince to stick his arm into a garbage disposal? I'm on my third murder. It doesn't count when it's a butler.
The market system is brutal, and it leaves behind people who are perfectly wonderful people who don't have market-related talents.
Or who are just unlucky.
Yeah, just plain unlucky. The function of government is not necessarily to get bigger. It may be, in an important way, to take care of people who, for one reason or another, get left behind in a market system that you also regard as essentially this huge source of wealth and goods and services.
Most cogent point so far. The government should have a role in making sure that the impoverished, the unlucky, literally as they put it, just unlucky people, making sure that they don't die, that they're not cast to the side. The problem is when you get big corporations, like the ones that these guys started and owned, and they do it. Lobbying comes into effect, worrying about profit motives, worrying about GDP, all of these things. So in the end, when forced to choose between, an average working person and the profit of a large business, really any politician, any government entity that is operating under capitalism, is probably going to opt for the corporation. Just because that's how the system is built. Yeah, that's the fucked up part. Like, they can say as much as they'd like, yeah, I think the government should help people, I think da-da-da-da. But as long as you're accumulating wealth, starting businesses that help you accumulate so much wealth and help people like you and adjacent to you get power, it's going to obfuscate the ability of the government to do the thing that you're saying that it should do. So I'm kind of like a genius. I'm kind of like if a genius was on YouTube.
So how do you fix the problems, or at least the perception of problems, which there's a huge perception out there in the American voting right now?
Perception of problems. Are there problems with capitalism? When did these start?
Obviously, it would help if our government were wiser. And it would be wiser if the two sides didn't hate each other so much. Absolute cold fury between politicians on one side and politicians on the other. It's quite counterproductive.
I don't know, man. It's this like partisan idea of like, oh, you gotta be on one side or the other, when it's like they're really, really strikingly similar. Their policies in the end, you know, there are some policies that will, on the Democrat side, that will help marginalize people slightly more, and there are some, you know, policies on the Republican side that will hurt them more. But I don't know, they're really similar. So just this talking point is like, I like reach across the aisle.
For that reason, I don't allow myself to get angry at politicians.
Why would you have to get angry at politicians? I don't allow myself to get angry at politicians. Yeah, dude. You don't have to. You could buy 77,000 Hyundai Elantras. You don't have to worry about whether or not there's a public park or a bus in your area. You own more miles of property than I have walked in my life. If you need to go to the grocery store, you can just take a PJ there. You can just PJ. If you think hard enough, money just appears. There are barely problems for people like you. There's nothing to get angry about. God damn.
Well, I just don't let myself get that angry. Politicians, I don't expect them to be
Berkshire has worked better because Charlie and I have never been mad at each other.
Yeah, this is kind of the age where all of your words begin to lapse into each other like you're a text-to-speech bot. Just the garbled voice of a 2009 Panasonic camcorder trying to use its noise reduction in a wind tunnel.
We don't need a couple of alpha males blustering at one another over this stuff.
Okay, I can't tell if he's referring to himself as an alpha male here, but if he is, he's an alpha male? He looks like he died 15 minutes ago. He rolled up to this interview in a Batesville casket, and they have to deepfake his speech to make him look alive. There are vultures circling the CNBC studios because of your presence. Don't even say the word alpha. I don't care if you're using it to refer to yourself. Keep it away.
We ought to worry about the people that don't fit into the system. We want the system, and a lot of people are getting left further and further behind because as capitalism gets more advanced, it gets more specialized, and there actually is greater difference between the haves and the have-nots, and the haves can take care of the have-nots.
The haves and the have-nots? It's such a cute way to say the ultra-wealthy and the impoverished. We just quirkified wealth inequality. Now, we know there's a large gap between the rich is and the rich isn't, but I feel like if we built another public school, maybe I could keep my Scrooge McDuck pile. Some people say, hey, Charles, it's messed up you put so many of your liquid assets into gold coins and candelabras and chandeliers so that you could fill one room on your pleasure yacht with it and do laps in it. And to that I say, everybody has their faults. Nobody's perfect, not even my mistress. Capitalism is like, oh yeah, we have the haves and the have-nots, and the haves need to take care of the have-nots. Well, you have $100 billion, and you have not used it to help enough people. I don't see this as in the end beneficial for us. Forgive me. You guys like how I searched wealth inequality like 10 minutes ago to prove that point? It's just still up on the tabs. It's like me thinking like, how am I going to prove my point? Maybe just Google the words. And it worked. It worked immediately. So that was it. Hi, welcome back to the I'm Not Smart Corner. I'm your host, Ro at 12:52 a.m. in the morning. You know what I meant to do in this video? I meant to wish a happy late birthday to my stepsister, because I think it's fun when I wish family members happy birthday in my videos, because it's uncomfortably personal. So happy birthday, Big D. Only gonna address her by Big D. You guys need to comment, happy birthday, Big D, so that she sees this and she says, oh, thanks. Thank you. I suppose it was my birthday, because I'm late, like a week. Am I a good step-sibling? I don't think so. Big D is great. She got me that shirt that I was wearing in the video for when I graduated from high school a year and a half ago. Jay, it was that recent. Jesus. I feel like I've been in high school forever. I feel like I never went. I feel like I don't have any knowledge anymore. I feel like everything's ended. Epically destroyed in a debate against 3 billionaires. I cannot believe that they anticipated every single one of my points and recorded rebuttals to them live. I was pretty decimated by this. Really, what does this tell us, though? Well, this tells us that the most ultra-wealthy people in the world, and not necessarily the most intelligent, are definitely not the most in tune, and of course, do not want anybody to know about the reality of their opposition. Because it's just not It's not good for them. It's not good for them if other people know what socialism actually is. Is the world gonna end because of this? Maybe it could, but I don't have any answer for you. I'm not Nostradamus. Go to Warren Buffet if you want that answer. God, that was so much fun to look at. I'm gonna be real, that was a lot of fun to look at. Yeah, sorry that this isn't a long video, but I realized, like, I've been putting so many hours into this YouTube channel. I'm really tired. So I'm going to do another medium-sized video later in this week, and then a short video later this week. That's right, 3 videos this week. We're going crazy. We're going bonkers. So I'll see you guys for those ones. Yeah, until then, go support me on Patreon, maybe, if you want to. I don't need that money to keep going, so if you don't have it, don't donate it. But yeah, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, unless they're 3 billionaires telling you that socialism sucks. Take care of yourselves, take care of others, and remember that you are loved, as always. Until next time, it's been a pleasure. Bye.